Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you halfway through another week. We're edging towards Saturday's game against Newcastle. Mikel Arteta speaking tomorrow at his press conference at 8:15am in the morning. Bright and early for that one, so keep an eye on my social media as usual. I'll be doing all the updates if you can't watch live on the website, and I'll try and do a video afterwards talking about what Mikel had to say ahead of that big game for Arsenal against Newcastle as they look to get back to winning ways after that mauling at Anfield on what day was it? Saturday, wasn't it? Interesting reaction to my video yesterday from you guys going through the comments. Plenty of you disagreeing with me about the thought that Arteta's reaction to Klopp was a mistake. Now, just let me clear it up a little bit. I think ultimately it was a mistake because of the outcome and what happened and the difference in the game. But I don't actually, as I said in yesterday's video, I actually liked it at the time. I loved the fact he was doing it. He was standing up to Klopp and he wasn't backing down and he was showing loyalty to his players, that sort of thing. So I really actually enjoyed it when I saw it. I was like, go on, Mikel. But I think ultimately Klopp suckered him in a little bit, because I think Klopp purposefully was trying to G up the atmosphere at Anfield, and he did just that. And Liverpool, we all saw what happened. But the difference before and after was obvious. It was marked. So I do ultimately think Mikel got sucked into it a little bit, and that was the mistake. But in terms of him actually doing it at the time, look, I loved it. I loved the fact he was showing fight and defending his players and all that, and it's kind of what you want to see from a manager. But I just think, had it not happened, it'd have been intriguing. I mean, it's all hypothetical now anyway, but it would have been intriguing to see how that game went had that incident not happened, and if it would have just meandered towards half-time as it seemingly looked like it was doing before that incident, which changed everything, certainly changed the mood and the atmosphere and the intensity around Anfield. And sometimes when Anfield's quiet and calm, you kind of want to keep it that way rather than letting things off the pitch have an effect on what happens on it. And that's what I thought did ultimately happen. It just felt like, I think, a more experienced manager maybe wouldn't have got sucked in by what Klopp was doing, but Arteta did. But hey, look, I'm not having a go at him for it. Like I said at the time, I was shouting at the TV, "Go on, Mikel, go on." But yeah, so that's clearing that one up. Anyway, as always, please leave your comments on anything I talk about. I love seeing it, love seeing your reaction, your views on what I talk about. So please do continue to leave your comments, and I'll go through them as always. And one of the things, the main topic of today's video is looking at players who could potentially leave in January. And the reason I'm doing this is because so many of you have been asking me in the comment sections, on my other social medias, on Twitter, on Facebook, what's going to happen at Arsenal in January. Now, I'm not going to talk about incomings in January because at this stage, honestly, I don't really know. And I'm not expecting too much to happen in January when it comes to incomings. I'm expecting Arsenal to be busy again next summer and make a couple, maybe more than a couple, 2 or 3 additions in the summer. I'm just not sure about January. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I haven't heard that there's something big being planned, but that doesn't mean it won't. Obviously, it just doesn't, from people that I've spoken, doesn't really feel like it's going to be a really mad, busy January at Arsenal. But in terms of outgoings, I mean, there is certainly lots to talk about there in terms of who could go. And you guys have been asking me, what's going to happen with Nketiah, what's going to happen with Balogun, where they want to go. Now, look, obviously, I can't give you destinations or who's going to go and who's not, but I think certainly there are players who could be allowed to leave in January should a right offer arrive, and I think Nketiah is certainly right at the very top of that list. Out of contract in the summer, Arsenal, he's not going to go for free. There will be a tribunal if he goes, as long as he goes to an English club, and that could drag on for a while. We won't know how much Arsenal will receive ultimately until that tribunal is heard if he does go to an English club. So Arsenal ideally would like to avoid that, and he's not playing much Premier League football. Well, he's not playing any Premier League football at the moment. Hasn't played a minute all season. So if a deal can be done for Eddie in January, then I don't think they're going to stand in his way. It's just whether Eddie would want to go now when he can wait till the summer and have his pick probably of a lot more clubs. So it'd have to be a very good deal for Eddie to do it, as well as for Arsenal. But I think Eddie's certainly at the very top of the list of players that Arsenal would allow to leave should an offer come in. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Balogun as well. I think Balogun will be allowed to leave on loan if a decent club can be found where Arsenal and Ben Napper, the loans manager, and Per Mertesacker and Edu can sort of all get together and think, right, this is the best thing for flow. And I think they would have been doing that already, well ahead of now. I mean, we're only about a month away from January transfer window opening now, and Arsenal have got a clear plan for Balogun. And I do think it will involve a loan this January. I'll be surprised if he sticks around. and that's a process that would have started already. So I think as long as they can find a club that they're happy that he will progress with, and it's a good manager that suits the player, and I think Balogun's one that could leave in January, along with potentially Nketiah. Whether they're both going to go together, I don't know. Maybe it'll be. I've spoken about this before. I did a video on it. Maybe you let Balogun out on loan, you keep Eddie just to protect him, protect yourselves really, because you got Aubameyang going away on international duty, and that doesn't leave you with too many strikers, certainly for the first part of the 2022. So you might keep one and let the other one go, but that we'll have to wait and see. And I think Callum Chambers is another that Arsenal, if a decent offer comes in that does tempt him into doing business, could be something that happens. He's not really getting a look in the Premier League at the moment. You've got Cedric Suarez there as well, as cover for Tomiyasu. Ainsley Maitland-Niles can fill in at right back. So I do wonder if Callum, a decent offer comes in for Callum, that he might be one that Arsenal could allow to leave. And the rest of them, I'm just not so sure really on anyone else. I think those are the main three in my mind of who could go in January should an offer come in, and that's Nketiah, Chambers and Balogun. There are others who fall into that category. Look, Kolasinac I think definitely could have got in January had he not got the injury that he's got, and now we don't know exact time frame on Kolasinac injury, but Arsenal's quote significant injury, so you don't expect Kolasinac to be back anytime soon. So it looks certain that Kolasinac will now stay, and that injury is going to rob him and Arsenal of the chance of him moving on. But Leno understandably won't be very happy in this situation at the moment, playing number 2, but I can't see any way that Arsenal will entertain letting Bernd Leno go in January. It's just not going to happen. They're going to expect him to stick around and be a valuable understudy to Aaron Ramsdale. They wouldn't want to be in a situation where they let Leno go and then Ramsdale gets injured and suddenly they're screwed, basically. So, Leno I'm fully expecting to stick around until the end of the season, and he will play in the Cups as well. FA Cup, League Cup, if Arsenal can get past Sunderland. Obviously, that rolls into 2022. So I think he will stay. You look at Pablo Mari and Rob Holding, certainly not Rob Holding. I couldn't see any way that Arsenal would let Rob Holding out. I think he's, you've got Gabriel and Ben White are the two centre-backs at the moment for Arsenal, but something happens to one of those two, I think Rob Holding is the guy who comes in. He's next in line, so he would come in. I can't see he would go. Martinelli as well, as I said, Aubameyang's going to go away in January. I can't see Martinelli being allowed to leave. I think he'll probably waiting pretty patiently for the first half of 2022 because he's going to expect to get some minutes in January in Aubameyang's absence. Lacazette, an interesting one, but it would take a massive offer, I think, for Arsenal to be tempted into doing business for Lacazette in January. I just can't see it, given that Aubameyang's going away, and we don't know how long Aubameyang will be away for. It would just leave you without any real senior experienced striker if you let Lacazette go. So I think Laca's going to stay, and that's about it. Everyone else, I think, is relatively untouchable. I mean, Arteta's got his squad. He's not got too many games to play. We're kind of going working weekend to weekend at the moment, and so other than those players, the rest of them, you think they're all involved, they're all key to Arteta's plans, and I just can't see it. So I think the main three for me, as I said, Nketiah, Balogun, Chambers, I think they could be allowed to leave should something happen. Possibly someone like Pablo Mari if a tempting offer came in, but again, I think it would have to be very, very tempting because Arsenal don't want to leave themselves light over the second half of the season. But others, I just can't really see it. So those are the three that I would say now, if you ask me, and plenty of you have asked me, who do you expect could go in January? Those are the three that I would say are the most likely in terms of Nketiah, Balogun and Chambers. The rest, just not so sure. I think Arteta will want to keep a very strong squad for the second half of the season because he's going to hope that Arsenal are going to be heading in that direction in 2022 when he's not going to want to do anything that leaves himself light over the final few months of the season. Okay, so on to Newcastle now. Arsenal back in action on Saturday. Need to get a win, need to get up and running again after that defeat at Anfield against the Newcastle side. I think it's still the only side in the Premier League who haven't won yet this season. Had an interesting performance last time out against Brentford, wasn't it? St James's 3-3, so they were scoring goals, conceding plenty as well, though Arsenal will look to target that. I mean, this is an Arsenal side who struggle for goals. We know that. They struggle to create. And so they will look at Newcastle and hope this is a chance for them to really, do something in the final third. And it's a key game for them. After what happened against Liverpool, you need to get back up and running. These were the two. You looked at the games in November. You had Watford, Newcastle, and then you had Liverpool in between. And you looked at the Watford, Newcastle games, and they were absolutely key. They had to take 6 points from those games because I think we all expected at Anfield they were going to get what they got, which was nothing. And if you go and win at Newcastle now, although the painful memories of Anfield won't be gone, you can at least start to put it to bed a little bit and think, well, look, we're up and running again. We got another 3 points. We're still fifth, at least fifth, and things are looking good. So I think in terms of, it's going to be interesting to see who starts. I think it's a big game for Martin Odegaard. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Odegaard comes in and Lacazette comes out for this one. Odegaard's found minutes difficult to come by. He's found starts difficult to come by recently when Arteta changed things up and brought Lacazette into the team. But I think the defeat at Anfield might prompt a little bit of a change, and we might see Odegaard come back in for Lacazette. I fully expect Kieran Tierney to start at left back. I could see why, as I said in yesterday's video, why Arteta started Tavares against Liverpool. He didn't really deserve to be dropped given his performances, but I think the time is right to bring Tierney back into the side now that Kieran is fit. Like I said, Odegaard, I think, will definitely come in for that one. Other than that, I don't think we'll see probably too many changes. I mean, there's some saying, is it time to give Pepe a go, take one of the wide men out in Saka and Smith Rowe? I don't think he will. I'd be surprised. I think he'll stick with Saka, Smith Rowe. He might bring Odegaard in, as I said, at number 10 behind Aubameyang. Maybe Sambi might get a bit of a rest and Ainsley Maitland-Niles could come in alongside Thomas Partey in midfield, and then you got a back four of Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel and Tierney ahead of Ramsdale. So I think there might be changes for the first time. He might shake things up a little bit, and there might be 2 or 3 changes to the starting lineup. But as I said, I think Odegaard, this is a big moment for him now. If he does come back into the team on Saturday, he needs to really, make his mark a little bit, and because it's been a bit of a struggle since Odegaard came back. And when you invested the money that Arsenal invested to bring him back on a permanent basis, you kind of expected him to hit the ground running because he was already used to the club, used to the Premier League, and it hasn't quite happened for him. So if he does come in, then it feels like a big moment for him where he needs to sort of step up and show exactly why Arsenal was so desperate to bring him back in the summer. Okay, finally from me today, before I go quickly on Granit Xhaka, I'm not sure if she's seen these comments he's made in the press. I think it was to the German press, maybe it was to the Swiss. But he was talking about Borussia Mönchengladbach, the club that Arsenal signed him from in 2016 or whenever it was. And he's always had this special connection with them, and he's always sort of mentioned, could he end his career there? He's been talking about it again, the possibility of returning to Gladbach, and he says, I never made the move from Borussia to Arsenal for the money. It was just a dream for me to play in England. I've just extended my contract, which still has 2.5 years to run. Then I'll be 32, and if Max Eberl, who's the sporting director at Gladbach, is willing to bring me back when I'm 32, then my door will be open. So Xhaka's certainly hinting there that he has no plans to leave Arsenal anytime soon after that new contract he was given in the summer. Looked like he was out the door last summer. He was going to Roma. He was going to link up with Mourinho. It didn't happen. He stayed at Arsenal. They gave him this new contract, which, again, as I said at the time, I just don't understand why they did that. But they did, and now he's tied in till, 2.5 years. So that's 24, summer of 24. And he'll be 32 then, and you certainly wouldn't expect that he'll be getting a new contract at that point, and he could be free to go back to Germany. Xhaka still about a month away from fitness now. Arsenal say, even though we keep seeing him on the training pitch, we keep seeing him running, looks like he's getting closer and closer, but Arsenal still saying he won't be back full training until January. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit earlier than that, given the rate of his improvement at the moment. And then it'll be intriguing, given the performances of Sambi. Yes, he struggled again at Anfield. Might well be taken out the side this weekend just to give him a bit of a breather, but he's been playing well. Does Xhaka walk straight back into the starting lineup? I know plenty of you will have your views on that. So please do leave them in the comments below. Anything you agree with, disagree with in this video, drop those comments in, let me read them, let me see what you had to say. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time, as always. I'll be back tomorrow at some point after Mikel Arteta's press conference, so keep an eye out for that one. Have a good day. I'll speak to you soon.